Good morning, ladies and gents, and welcome to. Oh, what?
Good what?
Oh, it's afternoon. I'm so used to this being morning. Anyway, I'd just like to start out by commenting. Not only are we trying to work around some stuff, but we are also here with you, so we are happy to be here. I don't know where I was going with that.
I think you were about to acknowledge the fact that we've abandoned our child. Well,
Our child.
my child.
I may have been dancing with you, but I am
abandoned
your son.
my child on the side of the road, and now we got to figure out how to get him home. Just waiting for some responses on the chatting. So, hey, one of us might disappear soon. We'll see what happens, what we learned from the text messaging. Okay, in the meantime, Austin, back to you.
Okay, so we would like to start out by emphasizing, or I guess we'll start out with the important kiddo. Do you have
Very important kiddo, yes.
Do you have any idea who it is? Because I don't. No, just kidding.
Well, I think it starts with N and rhymes with Ola.
Nicola?
Nicola. No.
No?
Today's very important kiddo is...
Nola!
Yeehaw! Congratulations, kiddo. We'll talk more about that at the end of today's episode.
Yep. Sorry, my mind's a little slow today, but let's go ahead and talk about planning, Father, and why it is important.
Okay, so planning. It's important to plan because then you actually hit the button you want to hit when you want to hit it. But really, this weekend, when it comes to planning, we were talking about making a plan to establish the whys and add task comments to the schedule. We're struggling, Austin. Let's get this together. So why is that important? Well, let me tell you why it's important is because if you don't have a plan for how you're going to get it done, then you just continue to stress about it forever. And we did make a plan. We decided that we're going to worry about the whys as we come up and during our planning sessions and not worry about those in advance. And also, I'm just taking 5 or so rows a week and getting the comments added. The biggest important reason for going through that exercise was to make sure that we were aligned and we didn't have unmet expectations that made somebody mad because they thought one thing was going to happen and the other thought another thing was going to happen. So that's really what that's about. And that is all done. We're finished with that. So that actually means, too, that our whole planning exercise can be considered complete. So we have our plan. How do you feel about that? I guess I should go like this so that you can see Austin's golf clap.
Except we don't have our plan.
What do you mean we don't have our plan?
You still left your son up by the side of the road.
That's a different plan, and I'm still waiting for him to respond. Okay, so, Austin, I think that would bring us to our discussion about identity transformation and picking aspirational identity graphics. Austin, tell us why it's important to have aspirational identity graphics to begin with.
You know, the way I see it is you're seeing who they are. You see who they are as you look at their identity and their image, but you don't see who they are going to be. Imagine going through a story and not knowing what the end result was as an author. You need to know that end result so that you can... How do I say that? I'm out of it today, but that's alright. So that you can... You want to take control for a second? My mind's mush.
I think what he wants to say is you need to begin with the end so that you know where you want to take your customer in your story and can help them end up there. If you don't know where they're going to end up, you don't know what direction to point them.
Exactly.
Okay, well that's good enough then. Do you have some aspirational identity images selected.
You all know him. You all love him. Papa Smurf is our aspirational identity.
And I think one of the things we decided is that Papa Smurf actually has multiple personality disorder.
Mm-hmm.
Brainy Smurf wants to become the CEO and be in charge of everything, which of course Papa Smurf has that personality trait. And then there's Handy Smurf, who really is more about the loving and leaving a legacy part, which, Papa Smurf has that trait. And then we'll talk about another Smurf later, a new one that also probably plays in there. But anyway, this is the image that's been selected to represent our aspirational identity. It seems a little crazy, Austin. Just look at the eyes.
Reminds me of you.
That I will take as a compliment. Austin, what did you do to go above and beyond on this particular task this week?
Well, I also got some images for our current identities. We got Brainy Smurf picked out, Handy Smurf picked out,
and I think that's about it for our existing identities. All right?
That is correct.
Okay, so that's progress going above and beyond the call of duty. And so with that in mind, I think we can go ahead and also mark off this particular task and say that it has been completed. Boom. Okay, which brings us to what? Professional goals. And this is where the title for today's R&R comes from. The title is Selfish Much. And I really wanted to have a conversation about being selfish in business and whether it's okay to be selfish in business, particularly in this world today that is focused on corporate social responsibility and the fact that everybody's got a cause. It's like a cause-based economy. So, Austin, what do you think? Is it important to be selfish in business? Is it okay to be selfish in business, or is it just plain out wrong?
I actually think it's important to. Now, you've got to define selfish here, but it is important to be selfish, and this is why. Selfish is saying you're taking something out of it. You're not just doing this for the sake of doing it. And the reason why it's important to actually be selfish is because if you're not, then you don't learn and you don't grow. You need to take something out of this.
Okay. So your argument is that it's important to be selfish in business,
so that you can learn and grow.
Okay. So here's kind of what I think. I think that any truly good, successful business is going to be focused on, first of all, taking care of a need that their customers have, right? Mm-hmm. So as a business, we have to understand what our customers want. And if we understand what our customers want, and we're selfish enough to understand what we want out of the business, and those two things overlap with skills that we have to be able to deliver what the customer wants while getting what we want out of the business, that's going to make for a long-term success. So it's like a Venn diagram, and where all three of those things come together, that is where success comes. There's a fourth that can be added, and that kind of gets into the cause side of things we'll talk about. And when you add those four things together, then you have an ikigai. We'll talk about ikigais another time. But for the moment, let's turn our focus to the why, the professional objective we came to. And we've got two interesting comments here. First of all, that Papa Smurf looks like Austin in the future. Did you just call Papa Smurf ugly?
Ouch. Woo. I am offended by that.
I'm sorry. Was that a bad thing to say?
No.
Okay, I apologize. Listen, if you look so bad that your brother's going blind so he doesn't have to look at you anymore, then you might be Papa Smurf. Future? Yeah. Anyway. The other comment here, yes, it is important to be selfish in business, or it wouldn't be worth having a business. Yeah, and if it's not worth having a business to you, then you're not going to support your customers very good, and everybody loses.
Yep.
Okay, so what does it mean to us to be selfish in business? And this was conversations with the entire Circle Pie team, and it was interesting. I'll share it with you, and we'll talk about the struggles I had here. So we want to prove that we have the grit. Yes, we are John Wayne fans. We believe in true grit. We want to prove that we have the grit to build a family-friendly business by learning, practicing, and teaching skills related to business, leadership, media production, design, and development. Now, this morning, Austin and I had kind of a discussion, a conversation about whether or not this applied to everybody that was a member of the Circle Pie team, and if it doesn't apply to everybody, does it matter? And two things have happened since then. First of all, I added a family-friendly piece in there, which does help increase its application. But second, I realized this is about alignment. And when we talk about alignment with individuals, also how it creates commitment. Everybody on the Circle Pie creative team is at least aligned with what we would call the what down here: business, leadership, media production, design, and development. There's something in there that they want to do. Now, the thing is, that's a pretty weak way to hold people's interest, and a weak way to keep people committed to your business, because they can go anywhere to do design or development or media production or leadership or business stuff, right? But it's maybe the bare minimum. Then we have learning, practicing, and teaching skills. And Austin, tell her I'll talk to her in just a minute. You might want to walk away from the set for a moment. So then we have by learning, practicing, and teaching skills. And the thing that's critical here is that this is a second level. And so we take pretty much everybody on our team too is interested in that learning piece. And a lot of them are interested in teaching. And so we know that we've got at least a secondary level of commitment here. And then when we add in the third level here, the why, the people who are connected to that, then we have 3 levels of commitment. And that is a real strong commitment. There's a lot of gravitational pull. That's kind of like if we get them all together, it's the sun holding the earth within its orbit and will keep everybody rotating around it. But if it was just the moon wouldn't, the earth won't rotate around the moon, right? So we want those 3 levels when we can. But it's okay, I concluded, Austin, that if not everybody is perfectly aligned, it's just going to impact the level of commitment. What are your thoughts?
I'm not sure I agree.
Oh. Okay. Tell us why.
We, the reason why we build a mission is to impact the level of commitment. So we want to focus on how we can best impact.
Just to be clear, this isn't a mission.
Or not a mission.
This is our professional goal, our professional objectives as CPC team members.
That's what I'm meaning, is it is to impact our level of commitment. So I do feel like we do want to focus more on how we can have everybody committed as opposed to not everybody.
So you're suggesting we should keep working on this until everybody's equally committed?
After listening to your explanation, yeah.
Okay, so let's talk about an example. Let's go into the details here for a minute. Okay, so if we say we want to prove that we have grit, I know that there's at least 3, maybe 4 of the 5 or 6 that would agree with that. Okay, So write down a 4 on the back of this piece of paper. Okay? Now, and then we say, build a family-friendly business. Again, I can think of at least 3 that, well, family-friendly, I can think of at least 3. Business, I can think of at least 3. So 3 and 3 on the paper. Okay, learning, practicing, and teaching. Learning, I think we got a 6 there. Practicing, well, probably a 3 there. And teaching, at least a 2. So what was that, a 6, a 3, and a 2? Okay. And then when we come to each of these, well, we got at least 3 on business. Give us 3 there. 3 on leadership. I can think of 3 on media production, 2 on design, a couple on development. Okay. And if you add that all up, we got a whole bunch of points. Now, let's say that we had to go just to the lowest common denominator here and pull everything out that didn't have a 6 on it. What would we be left with? We want to learn.
That is fair.
So, we would all maybe be equally committed to learning, but would we make any progress?
I do still think that we at least need to do one thing.
Okay.
We need to go through and see exactly who is resonating with what.
Oh, I know who's resonating.
You think you know.
I had conversations and went through the 5 whys with people.
Well, we should have people, I think, still read through them and check off what they resonate with, check off what they don't resonate with.
I will say this, if we go back to our OPEM, there are future tasks here.
Mm-hmm.
We have, we did this initial why piece, but then we also get into what our individual and collective aspirational identities are. So I think you're basically saying, oh, we should do the next task in this series.
I guess I am.
Okay. So based on that, this could evolve a little bit, but we want to prove that we have the grit to build a family-friendly business by learning, practicing, and teaching skills related to business, leadership, media production, design, and development. That satisfies the needs of the immediate task, and we'll continue the discussion moving forward. And clearly, Austin and I have to let some blood loose over exactly how aligned every team member has to be. It's we'll have to talk about whether or not it makes sense to rob all progress for perfection. Don't mess with my pencil. Okay, so Austin, we've been talking about a cause. We've been talking about a fight, and today this week you spent some time driving a character sheet for our impacted persona. What do you want to say? Why was that important, and how has it helped you?
Well, I feel as though it's important because I actually noticed as we went through this, we did not know who they were well enough until we went through it. We understood, yes, they would be a stay-at-home parent and that they would be fighting to stay at home, but we didn't really understand what that all entailed.
I also think we weren't completely aligned on even what the meaning was. And so just getting an alignment was a good starting point.
Exactly. One of the other ways that it helped me out is we actually identified a possible third persona that we were thinking about having, which is nice. And then I think finally the reason why I feel like it's most important is it helps me to know who I'm truly fighting for.
Nice. So would you like to introduce us to the ideal character avatar that we are fighting for?
I would. Our ideal avatar is Homemaker Smurf. Homemaker Smurf is 25 to 45. She is female. She is married. Has 2 to 4 kids. 0 kid-in-laws and 0 grandkids. Must be fighting to stay at home with kids. Living paycheck to paycheck, or uh, a desire to contribute financially. Supportive spouse. Collaborative and responsive, and bootstrapped.
What does that whole bootstrapped thing mean?
Bootstrapping means to build a business on the side of their occupation. Now, you might ask, what occupation does a stay at home parent have? And it's right in the name. Being a stay at home parent is a lot of work. And that is an occupation. So that's why it's still bootstrapped. They should believe in the American dream. By that, they mean they have a growth mindset and focused on providing a better future for their children. Surviving, so the water is at the Plimsoll line, which means that they're treading water and barely keeping afloat. Content-based, passionate, in it for the long haul.
Hey, speaking of passion, you need to up the passion today. Come on, pull it out.
In it for the long haul. Is that better?
Yeah.
That sounded like a not really. They must be strategic thinking about future life phases. So, for example, we want them to, focus on, hey, we aren't going to be in the same life phase. We aren't always going to be a stay-at-home parent. We'll eventually be an empty nester. And so maybe this is something I'll eventually want to take full on. We want some time to focus on a business so they're not 100% without time. Desire help and accountability, and striving for self-reliance. I don't know, I'm struggling with that motivation, or not the motivation, what's the word?
Energy?
Energy, yes. I don't have many midichlorians.
Okay, I think it's metachlorines, but anyway. You got this. We're almost there.
Okay, they could have faith, so a person of faith. Operation minivan mindset.
What is an Operation Minivan mindset?
Your head is hiding it. No, just kidding. The other side. Oh, yep. Operation Minivan is the idea that we need to get beyond our 2-inch screen, which is kind of funny because we are currently attracting to your guys' 2-3-inch screens by being up here, but that's past the point. And focus on being with your family, being adventurous, and having fun hiking, having fun in whatever way you guys most uniquely have fun.
Yeah, I think I wrote something about this one time, and it's not going to be in the admin page here. But basically, the Operation Minivan mindset is to build a strong multi-generational family culture by focusing on experiences over things through epic family adventures. So there you have it, the Operation Minivan mindset.
You're not on the correct page.
Yeah. I'm not on the correct page.
They possibly feel isolated, like they don't have a community. Brandable. They are founders of their own business. They could be in the same time zone. Creator/maker. Teacher. Striving for financial freedom, which to me is a very big one and a very good thing for fighting towards. Active in community, slow, stagnant, or plateaued growth, and patient. they definitely won't have a questionable business. Uh, won't be big business and won't be local business.
Meaning they won't be a local service business. And I think that's where we're going to stop on this. We got to figure out the 5 whys and even the aspirational identity. And we kind of have some examples, but I think we need to keep refining, which will come in the next stages. So we'll scroll down further later. How's that sound?
Yeesh.
Okay. Now, Austin, one of the things that happened interesting here is as you were going through this, you thought, now wait a minute, these guys seem like the missing third person we're looking for. And then as we refined, you actually got just a little bit further, and tell us what you learned.
You mean that I learned that there's a fight and then there's a second person or a third person that we have?
Mhm.
We learned that the reality is we have a third stage, and that is our provider Smurf. They have a different focus than the other two, and they're kind of in a transitional period between Mr. Brainy and Mr. Handy.
Yeah, so you've determined that our 3 focus customers are Brainy Smurf, Provider Smurf, and Handy Smurf, all who are on a journey to become Papa Smurf, but at different stages in that journey.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, good stuff. And hey, I hope that the Smurf people don't sue us for using their characters as personas. Okay, so anything else you want to say about personas and avatars and the like?
Just can't wait for the Personakins to come out.
Me too. Okay. Luckily, Connor is being picked up off the side of the street as we speak, so we are no longer being neglectful people. Okay, that seems like everything that we had on our plan, but there was kind of a bonus item that we did, which was... Got it. Okay, so that is the template for page 2 of the ideal customer avatar worksheet. Austin, anything you want to say about it?
I was using that to hide my face.
Yeah. Well, you're the one that needs to talk, so...
The only thing that I would like to note is that it's flushing out more how we talk to them. If we look into it, we've got the empathy map, which tells us about their personalities, their goals, their focuses, and so on, so that we can understand them and understand how we might talk to them so that we can help them feel like we want them to reach their goals. Also tells us about where they get their information from and who they affiliate with. Father affiliates with REI, and he thinks it should go up there.
Okay, so page 1 tells us who they are. Page 2 tells us how they want us to engage with them, is what you're saying.
Mm-hmm.
Awesome. Okay, is that everything, Austin? Feels like we might have one more thing to do.
I vaguely remember something about Nicola.
There is no Nicola. There is a
Nola,
who is our very important kiddo for today. And it's time to...
spin that wheel.
Okay, Austin, go for it. Spin the wheel. Nola gets a ring. Okay, so we'll get that taken care of. And congratulations, Nola. You are today's very important kiddo, and you have a precious ring to prove it.
I don't think they've watched Lord of the Rings.
Yeah, probably not. You know, I've never watched Lord of the Rings. The only line I know from Lord of the Rings is, "My precious."
You seriously haven't watched Lord of the Rings?
I've seriously not watched Lord of the Rings. It's too long.
That's fair. You do have a rather short
suspension. I do have a short suspension.
Attention span.
Okay. That's all I got for the day, Austin. Do you have anything else before I sign off?
Just a comment that I hope everybody gets some good sleep, because I need some.
May we all sleep well. That is our prayer today. Okay, well, we will be back with you tomorrow morning, bright and early, 5:45 a.m. That is just 11 hours and 15 minutes from now. And after that 11 hours and 15 minutes, we'll be doing our sprint planning, asking why about the things that we think we need to do next, and then writing them down and committing to them to get them done. Just one final observation before we close for the day, and that is that we are still on track and getting everything done we need to meet the deadlines way off in the future that we have set for ourselves. And so that is good. And that's the wrong color green. I'll fix it later. You guys all have a lovely evening. Hey, very important, kiddos. Go to bed easy and early tonight so that your mom and dad can get to bed early and get some sleep too. Hasta la vista, everybody.